Well, Mr Van Rompuy, when you first appeared here in what proved to be a rather expensive speech, I said you'd be the quiet assassin of nation-state democracy. And sure enough, in your dull and technocratic way, you've gone about your course, but I have to say, you're even worse than I thought you were going to be. I thought it was just going to be a federal Europe, a federal union. But actually it appears, with every statement you make, that what you now want is the total subjugation of the states to completely undemocratic structures based in Brussels. I misread the bailouts. I thought that when the bailouts happened, and I could see the panic around this chamber, people fearing economic meltdown, but you of course were calm through it all, because you saw the bailouts as your opportunity to take control. Just think how Ireland today is managed, Greece for that matter. The sinister sounding troika come in, 50 officials, spend a few days in the country, investigate the situation and then tell puppet prime ministers what they may or may not do. And I note great enthusiasm in this chamber for Spain to have a bailout. Lots of members here want Spain to accept the bailout so that they too are subjugated to this new order. Indeed, in Italy, the appointee there, Mr Monti, is very keen for his own country to be bailed out because, to quote him, he fears that parliamentary democracy could bring down the European Union. So I think it's pretty clear that your next phase is for those that haven't been bailed out and may not need to be bailed out. You now want them to sign guarantees, budget guarantees, and to have the power to strike down national budgets after they have been through Parliament. So it's odd against this backdrop that the Nobel Peace Prize has been awarded to the European Union.
And here they come. All
the purpose of awarding the 2012 Nobel Peace Prize to the European Union was to rally the EU through its latest monetary crisis, and also to send a message to the world's other geopolitical regions that if Europe, and in particular, historic enemies France and Germany, could maintain and deepen its union despite a long history of wars and crises, the other global regions could as well. Of course, Europe could not have pioneered the region-building process without massive and continual foreign aid, including umbrella military security from the United States. From the time of the Marshall Plan after World War II, and throughout the early EU incubation period, U.S. aid to Europe has continued even to the present day. The EU has now assumed a leadership role in regulating and financing the further development of other regions. The EU has done this in part by pioneering much of the harmonized regional regulatory framework that must be then met by other nations in order to engage in commerce with the EU. This regulatory framework then forms the basis of those other nations' integration into their respective regions, since they are already committed to those regulations in their ongoing relationship with the EU. This backdoor approach can circumvent an impasse between rival nations within regions, and it pressures independent-minded nations to get in line with the integration process. This assures the EU of a commanding presence within this new regional order. Western international development banks and institutions such as the European-directed International Monetary Fund and US-led World Bank also shape the development of other regions by financing ambitious regional infrastructure projects within those regions. These loan packages dictate conditions and terms with obligations to promote integration among the recipients. This international loan shark process that has been used upon other regions has also been turned upon the European Union nations themselves. The EU monetary crisis was indeed created in this manner and has resulted in the direct oversight by these same banking interests. In this way as well, the European Union serves as a model for the future course of the world's regions.
And I have to say, Mr Van Rompuy, 18 months ago when we first met, I was wrong about you. I said you'd be the quiet assassin of nation-state democracy, but you're not anymore. You're rather noisy about it, aren't you? You, an unelected man, went to Italy and said this is not the time for elections, but the time for actions. What in God's name gives you the right to say that to the Italian people?
Thank you.
The central banks of Europe and the US, aided by the deficit spending policies of derelict politicians, can also create crises by manipulating money supplies.
Investors and non-investors alike are watching commodity prices soar in correlation to that money printing. corn, wheat, copper, oil, you name it. And it's not just in those other countries. So whether you're cursing food and gas prices at home this summer and wondering why, or you're a stunned observer of the unrest in the Middle East, realize both are the direct result of a pay cut from money printing as your government remains hell-bent on propping up the megabanks.
Over the years, Europe's incremental Monet method has been revealed in the steady strengthening and widening of the scope and titles of the organizations tasked with implementing the integration project. This order of progression is important to remember when studying the development of the world's other major geopolitical regions, as they have all generally followed the European incremental process. If imitation is the best form of flattery, a prime example is the regional project of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
This week in St. Petersburg, he asked European leaders to recognize his common economic space, the new customs union of Russia, Belarus and Kazakhstan. In fact, the Customs Pact is considered a stepping stone in Putin's grander vision, the creation of a Eurasian Union with a common currency.
Putin's Eurasian Union is attempting to accomplish regional integration in a fraction of the 6 decades that it has taken the prototype EU to achieve. Even so, Russia and its Eurasian partners have followed Monet's incremental path.
Russian President Vladimir Putin, in his address to General Assembly on December 17th, announced the creation of the Eurasian Union is the principal task of Russian foreign policy. The Eurasian Union includes Republic of Belarus, Kazakhstan and Russia. Integration model of the Eurasian project will make Russia a link between Europe and Asia. Treaty on the Eurasian Economic Union should be signed by January 1st, 2015.
After Mikhail Gorbachev's perestroika, former Soviet Union nations agreed to a less than threatening Commonwealth of Independent States in 1991, with an emphasis on their independence. That, however, provided the forum for the establishment of a customs union, the Eurasian Economic Community, or Eurasec, in 2000, featuring freedom of movement without a visa within the member nations. This has led to a common economic space that pools production, monetary investment, and labor resources. The ultimate objective is the Eurasian Union, or EAU, with a common parliament, defense, foreign and domestic policy, and monetary currency by 2015. Russia's concern that it would become less significant between two powerful forces, the European Union to the west and China and the Orient to the east, is one of the main factors motivating the development of the Eurasian Union. Putin has strongly denied allegations that he is attempting to revive a semblance of the old Soviet Union. However, he is using a carrot and stick approach in an attempt to corral all of the former Soviet Union nations into Eurasian integration, promising reduced rates to access Russia's vast energy reserves and other incentives offered only to those nations that join. However, Georgia, Armenia, Ukraine, and Moldova have balked at the plan and continue to hold talks with the EU on possible membership. These nations seem to be searching for any possible way to escape the reach of the Russian bear, but it seems inevitable that most will not. The urge of East Europeans to avoid another Soviet-style subjugation to Russia is understandable, but they will find no flight to freedom in the new EU.